Hey guys, Jim here, and I'm going to do a quick video here, and I do promise it actually will be quick for a change, on a new piece that just arrived from a brand that I typically avoid like the plague, and I'm talking about Boker, whether it's Boker, Boker Plus, any of the German-made stuff. I've just never known a single person to have ever had a good experience with Boker. But that draw that you sometimes feel when you know that you shouldn't do something, but you do it anyway. When Boker announced they were going to be releasing their collab with Manaro, I went nuts. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? That's great. I love the Bullseye. It's an amazing knife. You know, you can't order from Sal directly, and you're lucky to ever see one pop up. And when you do, it's between, $1,200 and $1,500, $1,600, $1,800, depending on the materials. So, figure what the hell, for $130, I'm not really risking all that much. I'm going to buy from a reputable dealer, which I bought from Blade HQ. And if I don't like it, I can always send it back. In the back of my mind, I kept hearing, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But I kept thinking to myself, there's something about this. And a lot of guys were feeling the same way. There's something about this. It's going to be special. And then a few people got theirs in before me. And I started seeing some decent reviews and some not so good reviews. So I'm like, okay, this is really going to be one of those things where you may luck out or you may not. So there's the packaging. Nice magnetic little lid on there. There is their barcode, SKU number, and of course the scariest words you can read, made in China. So now let's get to the knife and let's talk about, did it meet my initial expectations or did it meet my hopeful expectations? Well, before I get too deep into this, I'm going to tell you this, I'm not going to take it apart. If you want to see what's going on inside of this knife, Carter did a couple of videos. He did a really great video where he took it apart. That's Juju 13. If I remember, I'm on my way to work in a few minutes here, so if I remember, I'll try to put a link to his channel somewhere in the description. And if you're like me and you're kind of reading his screen name off in your head, you're going, Juju! It's kind of like pew, 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 pew. I don't know. There's just something about his name that makes me giggle every time I read it. So anyway, Carter did a really great video showing, taking it apart, and he discovered a few key things. The screws are not hardened. So I wouldn't go tearing apart your knife too many times because you're going to strip the heads of the screws within 3 or 4 times of doing it. Also, the inside of the titanium handles on one of them was completely raw, unfinished, looked like something that just, I don't know, fell off of somebody's workbench. They grabbed it, machined this side, and sent it on down the line. So, without any further ado, it's actually got a pretty smooth action to it, but here's the problem. Oh my God, it really locked up that time. I'm actually going to have to get something here to have to open that up. It has the stickiest lock. Holy hell. I can't even pry this thing open. There we go. This has the stickiest lock I've ever seen. And I was thinking it was going to take me a few times to demo that for you, but apparently not. Even if I open it gently like that, you hear that? Oh my God. Yeah, I won't live with that, period. And I really feel bad about it because when I look at this knife and I look at that blade, I look at that amazing grind. And again, I mean, it's all done, it's all machined out. This is not done by hand or anything like Sal's would be. But, I mean, that's really cool. I love a recurve. I love the look and the performance of a recurve. Not necessarily, I wouldn't love to have to sharpen it. I despise thumb discs. I've never liked them. That's what's kept me from buying an Emerson for so long. Back when I used to buy Emersons, they didn't have that. I'm just not a fan. I don't like the look. I don't like the feel. I don't like the operation of it. I don't know. It's just how I am. I'd rather have a thumb stud. But I love the arrow that's done in here. Very cool. This is actually a really, really sharp knife. They did a great job sharpening it. But part of the problems, and I hope I can get it to show up, are the blemishes on the blade. This one on this side is the worst, and I cannot get that out. Short of taking a Scotch-Brite pad and brushing it out, which I'm not going to do on a knife that I intend to return, that's going to be there forever unless I brush it out. And I think that's kind of, it's kind of crap. You know, that's the way I look at it. 440C, that was the one thing when I ordered it that I didn't like. I just went, well, I'm just going to deal with it. It's not the greatest steel. It's obviously not going to hold an edge for very long. I'll be sharpening this thing a lot. But I figured, you know what the hell? For about 130 bucks, this is all true titanium. Titanium on a nicely checkered backspacer. And they did a really nice job on that too. It's got nice traction without being sharp. And for those of you like me who have owned a zillion 1911s, have customized a lot of 1911s, you know that on hand checkering at least, they can go way too far and actually make it too sharp and make it uncomfortable. It's the guys that can do it nice and clearly, sharply defined like this without making it hurt the hand that actually, that's the quality. So they did a great job on that, and that is a very large, thick piece of titanium. Good sized titanium slabs on there. Certainly wouldn't complain about that. They did a really nice job on the machining. No mistakes in there. It's very sharp and defined. I would think that this is going to tear up your pockets a little bit, taking it in and out fairly often. I like the pocket clip. I like the way it's shaped. I like that it's not a super deep carry pocket clip. I find those to be ridiculous and unnecessary. You know, if it weren't for the fact that you have the cheap non-case hardened screws, the terrible lockup, and the blemishes on the blade, this would be a keeper. Now, this is not to tell you to buy or not to buy this knife because, you know, I've heard about half the people talk about a sticky lock and the other half have not had an issue. So it's a real hit and miss there. I've not heard of anybody having any visual defects or blemishes. So mine could just be, hey, 1 in 1,000 that's screwed up. So I'm not saying based on these experiences you shouldn't buy it. But you know for a fact if you watch my video and other videos that there are hit and miss pieces out there. So you're still kind of rolling the dice a little bit. Again, you're not investing a lot of money. And I really didn't expect a whole hell of a lot. I mean, you're buying a $100 knife after all. Even when I compare it to one I carry in my pocket. Okay, my Curtis F3. You know, this is, it's the same thing. It's all titanium. A little bit smaller because I've got the 3.5 inch. My 4 inch isn't ready yet. You know, that's a $500 knife. That's a $130 knife. This is hand built in the USA, or partially hand built. It's water jetted, then hand fitted. This is all 100% made in China. You know, and there's going to be those huge differences. I can whip that out as hard as I want, and there is no stick whatsoever to that lock. And that's what you expect when you buy a premium knife. Now, you know when you're spending $130, holy shit, not again, that you're not buying a premium knife. But, oh, dear God, that's asinine. So, you know, there's certain things, you know, where they're going to cut some corners, and you're okay with that. Because, honestly, I bought this because I think it looks really, really cool, and it would be a really great beater, a really good user. I can use it for times when I may not want to break out, you know, $1,000, $1,500 knife. I'm not afraid to use my more expensive knives, but if I have a cheaper one that I can beat on that I'm happy with carrying that day, I'd much rather do that. It's just the smarter thing to do. So, yeah, I was really hoping this was going to pan out. I was hoping this was going to be a winner, but it's not. It's flat out, it's not. There are too many things that give you the indications that this was cheaply made. So, unfortunately, you know, a lot of us kind of banked on, hey, we're going to take a chance. This might actually be something really fantastic. Spend only a little bit of money and get a lot in return. You know, kind of like how, you know, when you pick up a zero tolerance. You know, you're not spending a lot of money on a ZT, but you're getting a hell of a knife in return. You know, you look at the Hinderer designs, especially the new one with the S110 composite blades. I mean, those are what? Those are three something, just under $400. You're getting just a fantastic, amazing knife. You buy a 0350 for $140, coincidentally only about $10 more than this, you got a knife that'll probably last you the rest of your life. They're fantastic. So there are those times, you know, Manix 2 is another one that pops in my head, that you just go, you know what, it's cheap, I'm just going to use it to knock around, and if it lasts, it lasts. And then you're blown away and you're like, wow, this is an amazing piece. That's really what I was hoping for here. And the fact, and I should have realized the offset. Maybe that's what it is. Because the whole time you're thinking about buying one of these, you're telling yourself, well, hell, that thing's all titanium. I wouldn't expect to get an all titanium knife for $130 some odd dollars. And maybe that's where the problem lies. If this was just, I don't know, maybe titanium on this side and G10 on this side, more of the money that went into the manufacturing would go into higher quality components elsewhere to make it a more functional piece, where the lock wouldn't stick tragically. You realize if I was out right now and let's say I was at the post office, I mean, I generally wouldn't whip out something this big at the post office, and I was shipping something and I had to cut, you know, the box down or do something, and I couldn't get this to fold back up, what an issue that would be. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I don't carry around a tool in my pocket to wedge inside of my frame locks to get them to close. So yeah, to me, that's a tragic failure. Period, flat out, bar none. And you can see the lock geometry is shit. And you know, I don't say this, but I'm honest. It's shit. It's pure shit. People want to give old Striders hell. That's an old Strider intensified by 10. So maybe that's where the offset is. Maybe because they had to spend the extra money to give you true titanium for the entire knife. Backspacers, slabs, and pocket clip. Maybe that's why they don't case harden the screws. Maybe that's why they don't spend as much time in quality control. Why they don't carbonize the lock. I don't know. But I'm thinking now that I've said that, I'm thinking that might be it. So, you know, if they made a version of this with much cheaper scales, maybe the rest of the knife would be a hell of a lot better. I just think it's a shame to see Sal's name on the blade of what I think of as a tragic failure. But there's one good thing about it. It's now given me a chance to experience this blade and this grind in person, and it has convinced me that I want to get a real Sal Manaro. So that'll be my next quest. And I've got so much other stuff coming. I just scored a deal on a nice Sniper Blade Works DH that's crazy with the Hamon blade and everything. So I think I'm going to be waiting just a teeny little bit. Just received my Jesse Giroux's, which is an amazing little knife, but a little too little for me. I may or may not do a video on it. I'm already trying to flip it right now. But yeah, now it's kind of made me want to get a real Manaro to satisfy the need to have that look, to have that incredible blade, and have a knife that I can actually close without issue and not have blemishes on my blade, and have screws that I can tear down my knife and do some basic routine maintenance and cleaning on if I need to. So anyway, there's my quickie little overview. You know, if you ask me honestly, I would tell you, you know, your money is probably better spent elsewhere in a really good Spyderco, hell, even a cold steel. It's, you know, it's not going to look as exotic as this. It's not going to be as cool as this. But you know what? It's for me, it's function over form in many cases. Yes, the initial attraction is going to be, oh, I bought the knife because it's good looking, or I'm attracted to it for some reason. But in the end, if it doesn't work, oh my God, if it doesn't work, it's not going to do me any good. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to let you go. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to them. Thanks.